G'day folks, and welcome back to another video. Wow, it's been a really long time since the last one, several months in fact. Haven't really been doing that much with the car, just enjoying it since it's been fixed and driving again. So yeah, hanging out with mates, cruising, that kind of thing, in between all of the lockdowns we're having here. As you can see by the title of the video, I got some new parts and some more modifications for the Soarer, so let's get to it. So to go through some of the parts, we've got a new alternator, new intercooler and pod filter, and some new rear upper control arms as well. I also got the exhaust modified. That's already done, but I will walk through that maybe towards the end of the video. I'll leave some timestamps, so if you want to just hear about the exhaust and hear the difference, then you can do that as well. So to go a little bit more in detail about some of these things. The alternator, this is just purely a repair. The stock one came up with an error code on the dash that it wasn't charging the battery, and sure enough I was only getting about 12.2, 12.3 volts out of it, which is not really enough. Bought a new one from Golby's Parts. This one does come with a underdrive pulley. I'll probably swap that out, but I'm not sure yet, we'll see. Yeah, this one's just a straight up repair job. Going on to pod filter and intercooler. These aren't really upgrades per se. I already have an aftermarket intercooler and an aftermarket pod filter, but I'll explain a couple of reasons why I'm doing this. So pod filter, pretty simple. The current one's too long, so basically I can't adjust the headlight bulbs at all. I have to take the pod filter off, which means I have to take the intake pack off, just the way that it's kind of clipped into the intercooler piping and all of that, which is really annoying. So I'm getting a shorter pod filter. This one's about 1.5 inches shorter than the other one. And while I'm at it, I thought I'll try a different brand as well and go for a K&N. Some people like them, some people don't like them. I think for a weekend car that I don't drive that much, this will be fine. The intercooler, again, not really an upgrade. There's nothing wrong with the one on there. The current one on there is a Takashi, which a lot of people wouldn't have heard before of that brand before. But basically, as far as I could read, it's kind of like your Chinese eBay intercooler. I think it works. I don't really know. Like, it's obviously a much better upgrade over the stock, but compared to other brands, I don't really know. So in all honesty, I bought this one basically because I'm a bit of a brand snob and I want a good brand intercooler on there. Well, a decent brand intercooler on there, I should say. So one of the other things about the intercooler, as you might have seen in one of my past videos, I spray painted it black by hand with a rattle can. Not the best job, but I basically just wanted to make it a bit more stealth. This one comes black from the factory, so it's going to be a much better job. I also thought, like with the pod filter, if I'm getting something new, I'll get something a little bit different. I've gone with a bar and plate style intercooler, and this one's 4 inches thick versus the 3 inches thick. Probably not going to make any sort of difference now, but in the future when I run high boost, high flow the turbos, or go single turbo or something, this one's probably going to do a bit better than the Takashi one. So that's the reason for that upgrade. And the final part that I'm going to be fitting myself is a pair of rear upper control arms from Hardrace. So the stock ones that are on there, the bushings are pretty much buggered. So I could buy new bushings, but I thought I'll buy some adjustable ones. Hardrace is a pretty good brand, so that's why I got these. There are two different bushing options you can get. You can get hardened rubber, which is what these are, or for a bit more you can buy another set of pillow ball bushings, which supposedly are firmer, give a better feel of the road when you're driving and that kind of thing. But for a street car, I don't think they're worth the upgrade. They don't last as long and they can develop slop quicker than these ones. And the hardened rubber from Hardrace is apparently pretty good to start with anyway. So yeah, I just stayed with the standard option for these. Last but not least, you may have seen in a past video, the exhaust tips were too far in, so I actually went and got the exhaust further modified, and I also got a Resonator delete as well. These have already happened, so it's already on the car right now. I'll leave timestamps for fitting all of these parts and the exhaust as well, so if you want to just hear the difference with the Resonator delete, you can jump to that section in the video, which will probably be towards the end of the video. So I'm going to be fitting these parts probably over the next couple of weekends. So yeah, in this video you'll see me put all of these on and the exhaust at the end. So let's get to it. Okay, so I'm going to get started with the alternator first. Like I said before, I don't know if the one on there is broken. It's kind of like intermittent problems. So even though I have been driving it, I'd feel safer if I swapped it out with the new alternator. So yeah, I've never done this before. It looks like it should be reasonably straightforward. So yeah, gonna get started. Okay, so quick update. Jack the car up, disconnected the battery, and I've removed the intake pipe, and I've just got this here so I can kind of move it out of the way, because I'm thinking I actually might be able to pull it out this way rather than, well, you can see down there it's not really going to go down out of the car, and for it to come forward and out I'd need to take off the radiator and the fan shroud, so I don't really want to do that. I'm hoping I can just kind of move these cables out of the way and pull it out this way. Unplug the plug. This one is actually a round plug, whereas this one is an oval, but it comes with a little adapter as well. So one thing, this comes with an underdrive pulley, so that pulley size is bigger, meaning the alternator will spin slower. And the reason why you would do that is if you were racing or drag racing, a bigger pulley means it spins slower, it puts out less current, and it's less parasitic on the engine, so it takes less power away from the engine, therefore you get more power to the wheels, is the theory behind it, and it does work. But for a street car it's not really what you want to do, because you get problems with the battery won't charge at idle and all that stuff, so I'd rather just swap the stock pulley over and make sure the battery gets charged properly. Not sure why, but this bolt here is unbelievably stiff. I've even tried using the breaker bar on it from this angle, although you can't get a good grip on it, but it just doesn't budge. So I've squirted some WD-40 and let that kind of soak in for a bit. And then in the meantime, I've actually masked this up and given it a coat of primer, and then I'm going to hit it with some matte black paint to match the rest of the pipes in the engine bay. Okay, so got the bottom one out, but top one is still not budging at all. The power bar doesn't fit. It clips on the water pump pulley, so gonna have to rethink. I've sprayed it with WD-40, but might have to try something different to get this bolt out. Finally got it to come loose. With the help of a spanner on it and smacking it with a big old hammer. But it's broken loose, so I'll complete the alternator swap, or continue with the alternator swap now. Okay, so as you can see, this pulley is bigger than this pulley. So I've got to take this pulley off and put it onto this one, which is a bit annoying because this looks like it's a nicely made pulley. But anyway, it's got this weird design where it's like a hex on the end of the bolt and then a nut, so you've got to do something like this to get it off. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do now. So just fitted the alternator. I actually decided to just go with the underdrive pulley. Main reason for that is actually because I couldn't get the other one off. It's pretty much seized. I've loaded it up with WD-40 and I'll leave it for overnight and keep oiling it up and trying. But it might be okay, because I was also thinking I don't even drive this car enough as it is to keep the battery charged, so it may just mean, like at the moment I bring it into the garage and trickle charge it once a month, so it might just mean I have to do that once every couple of weeks. But I'm going to start it up now and measure the voltage and see what it is at idle, because I don't want to, like if I'm driving at night, I need to still have enough power to use my lights and all of that. So anyway, I'm going to start the car up now. Okay, well that is the alternator done. It's all working. At idle, it does output light slightly lower than it should be. It's about 13-ish volts, whereas it should really be at 14, but as soon as you're on the gas, it jumps up to 14.4 anyway, so that's all good. Just means I can't sit idling for too long, but then that battery would last a very long time. At 13 volts, it would probably be No worries. So that's all good. Moving on to the next parts. Okay, it's a new day. It's been raining, so it's a little bit wet, but it's not raining now, which is good. I'm going to go ahead and move on with the rear upper control arms. So let's go ahead and open these up. Okay, so I've already been through these and talked about why I bought them and etc. I just want to say, one annoying thing, the packaging has no labels on it and there's no instructions or manuals or anything. So although they look like they suit my car and I bought them to suit my car, I actually have no idea if they do suit the car until I actually go and try and put them on, which is a little annoying. There's also no manuals that I can see about torque specs for the adjustment here. So I might have to do a bit of Googling to find that out. Obviously I can find the torque specs for the other bolts from the Toyota manuals, etc. But yeah, that was a little disappointing from Hardrace. So according to the Toyota manual, this could be a full day job. There's quite a bit that needs to come out, but there's only 3 bolts, and I reckon if I have a look at it, I reckon I might be able to access it all without taking off like brake calipers and possibly the struts and other things. So that would be really good if I could do that, in which case it would just be 3 bolts, which should be a easy job. So I'm going to go ahead and get the car jacked up and the wheels off and take a peek in there to see how it looks. Okay, so I've got the car jacked up, got the wheels off. This side might be better for you to see. But basically you can see the upper arms here, the ball joint here. It looks like I should be able to access all the bolts, and there's one nut under there without having to take anything off, which is really good. Although this one, the ball joint here might be a bit tricky. So yeah, I'm going to give it a go without taking calipers off or the drive shafts out, which would be really good if I can do that. So yeah, I'm going to get started. Okay, so first step was to remove these ABS lines, which were just connected to the control arm with some 10mm bolts. You want to be careful with these. These are obviously quite a vital safety feature of the car, so you don't want to damage the lines. And also, when you be careful taking them off, because these are just thin steel and they bend easily. You don't want to break those or snap those either, the mounting brackets. Okay, so next I'm going to have a go cracking these back bolts here and cracking this nut underneath this ball joint here. Okay, so I ran into the first kind of issue. Trying to crack these bolts. They are unbelievably tight, so even with the breaker bar I couldn't even move them, so I'm going to have to get some sort of rod to go over the breaker bar and give me a bit more leverage. And the other issue is you can't get a socket on the underside of this ball joint nut, which is why they recommend removing the drive shaft. So I'm going to have to use a spanner, but obviously a spanner is quite short and doesn't have enough leverage, so I'm going to have to rethink about what I do there. Quick update. It's been several hours, in fact it's the afternoon, but got some progress. Managed to get the bolts loose here and all out, so that's pretty much ready to just come out. What I had to do was undo the sway bar link, take the bottom of the strut off so that I could drop this down, undo this, pop that out, and then we put it up and went through underneath like that. And when I say we, I mean me and Dave. Big shout out to Dave. He came through with a big boy power bar. Without that, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. So huge thanks to him. So yeah, gonna take those out now and put the new ones in. I may not be able to torque them up to the correct spec, just because my torque wrench probably doesn't have enough leverage to get to 160 Newton meters or whatever it is. So basically I'm just going to do the reverse process and use this big brake bar and go as tight as it was to undo the last time. Okay, it's the end of the day. It's been about 6 hours. Looks like it's pretty much done. Might be a little dark, but you can see it's in there, it's all bolted up. I don't really have any great tools to measure the adjustment, so I've kind of just set it to where I think it should be, and then I'll have to book it in to get a proper alignment at some point. Wasn't too bad. There was a couple of difficult things. It's certainly not as easy as just 6 bolts. Yeah, with the help of Dave, I was able to get it done. My dad also helped for the last hour or so. Ball joints, they were tricky to put back in. I also noticed I was missing a sway bar link. A sway bar link nut, and that wasn't even in the sway bar, so I don't know how long it's been like that, but potentially have been driving without a sway bar on the rear for a little while. Also, the stock ones, something I was thinking about, I don't know if these were doing anything at all, because one thing me and Dave found when we undid the ball joint, these were literally just flopping around, which means these weren't tight at all up here, which means the stock ones were literally not doing anything because the control arm was literally just flopping, whereas these ones are tight, and now it's working against the rubber bushings like it's meant to do. So I wonder if I'll find the rear of the car is a lot more planted. Hopefully I do. But anyway, yeah, that's the control arms done. I'll put the wheels on and I'll show you if there's any funny camera or something going on. I'll show you that. Otherwise, I'll move on to the pod filter and the intercooler, but that's probably for another day. Okay, so the wheels are back on, and it's actually pretty much the amount of camber I would want to run like normally. The only issue is now that, because I designed for the wheels to be pretty much flush when they were straight, running about -1 or 2 degrees camber means it's sunk in a bit. But anyway, I'll show you. So it might be a bit hard to tell on camera, but so it's a little bit, the right's a little bit more cambered than the left. But like I said, I don't really have the right tools. But you can see what I mean by now the top is a little bit sunken in. So on this angle, flushes like well into the car. So on the plus side, it means I can pretty much run probably a 10-inch wheel with no dramas. Although at some point I do want to run even wider than that. Okay, moving on to the pod filter and the intercooler. Car's jacked up, so it should be a pretty simple process. Pod filter is going to be pretty easy. I'll just need some new zip ties that will go on straight away. But you can see here, this is what I mean by I can't access into the to adjust the lights at all because it's too big. So the new one should sit about there, I think. The intercooler, I'm hoping that it's the same length, so I'm hoping that the bolt holes just line up and I don't have to make new brackets, which would be great. And then just to undo some of the brackets here, and the whole thing should just drop in. At least that's the plan anyway. So I'm going to unbox these now. Nothing too special, everyone knows what they look like, but I'll show you how they will look off the car so you can get a bit of an idea of the size and stuff like that. Nothing special about the pod filter. Everyone's seen Canon pod filters before. So yeah, you can see it's quite a bit shorter than the one I've currently got on there. It also feels like it's pre-oiled, so I'm going to have to Google that to make sure. I do have some filter oil up in the shed, but yeah, it just feels a little bit greasy, and I can see it's a little bit shiny down the bottom there. There's also some sort of material in the bottom there. I'll pick that out. Also came with a cool sticker, which is always cool. So this is the intercooler from Mishimoto. This is the universal R line. So it's a bar and plate style, 3-inch inlets and outlets, same length and height as my current one, but it is 1 inch thicker. These mounting brackets I'm hoping are in the same place, otherwise I'm going to have to make some new brackets, which will take a little bit of time, but shouldn't be too difficult. Anyway, let's get on with the install. Pod filter's in. You can see already how much extra space I have to adjust the lights, which is great. It's exactly what I wanted. One thing to note, a little disappointing, K&N's supposedly a reasonable, reputable brand, I should say. The quality control was not great. I had to trim out a bunch of excess rubber on the inside of that because it wouldn't fit the 3-inch pipe. And like you saw before, there was a little piece of rubber already stuck inside the pod filter, which if I hadn't removed would have been sucked into the engine. So yeah, not too happy with quality control from K&N. Okay, so I've got the old intercooler removed. Already encountered the first problem. As you can see, the mount holes, I'll give you a better idea. This one's much closer to the edge, this one's quite further in, so I'm going to need to make some new brackets. And unfortunately today I have to go to the dentist, so that may not happen today, or it might happen this afternoon, we'll see. But it's a little annoying because these brackets line up almost perfectly with holes in the frame rail, not the frame rail, the front radiator support. So the old intercooler lined up perfectly with this hole here, and you have to see in there, but there's not really any bolt holes further in, so that's going to be tricky on the top. The bottom's going to be pretty straightforward. I'll simply need to make some new aluminium brackets, cut them to different lengths and just run them differently there, but otherwise that should be no issue. Okay, so it's the end of the day today and got some problems. Well, one problem actually. So if we have a look in here, it might be a little too dark. So what I did was, because like I said, the bolt holes weren't exact, I reutilized the same brackets, but I built a bracket all the way across and then drilled some new holes for this new intercooler. So that worked, got all that all bolted up. On the underside here, simply re-marked out some holes and re-drilled them and bang that out. So that's in there, and the whole intercooler is like it's very sturdy. It's not going anywhere. The problem is on this side, the intercooler piping does not line up, like not even close. So this side is fine, but this side isn't, which is kind of annoying. So that's the piece there that doesn't line up. So what I'm probably going to have to do is find a shop that can work with aluminium and can make me a new piece. But the issue is I can't really drive the car to them, or at least I don't think I can drive the car to them because, well, I don't know, can you drive a car without with the throttle body exposed, a turbo car? Not sure, I'll have to have a look. But if I can drive, then that would be great because they can make it to fit. Otherwise I'm going to have to take some photos of this one and I don't know, maybe basically guesstimate where I want them to adjust and move it to and hope that it will work. And maybe get a longer silicone joiner so that I have a bit more movement there and flex. Anyway, that's enough for today. I'm going to have to call up a couple of stores, see if they work in aluminium pipes and intercooler piping and see what the go is. Okay, so it's a new day and still working on getting the intercooler fitted. Basically two things that I want to do today. Something that I noticed yesterday, which I probably should have measured properly. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it's about an inch, maybe 2 inches to the left. And because it's got that M logo on it, it's going to drive me insane if I don't line that up straight. So that's a pretty easy fix, just 2 new holes on the top brackets will realign that. As to fixing the intercooler piping, I have had an idea. So basically this is the problem piece here. I'm pretty sure this kit, having a closer look at it, I think it might actually be homemade. I don't think it's a kit off the shelf, which is why it's probably not lining up correctly. But basically this part here doesn't line up, it's too far this way. So the intercooler hole's like here and this is here. So this needs to be longer and it needs a bit more flex as well to get on the right angle. So what I'm actually thinking of doing, rather than getting this whole piece new made up, cutting the pipe right here and fitting a silicone hose joiner here. Not ideal, but temporarily at least will let me get this sorted and fixed up, and that will give me the extra length and a little bit of flexibility to hook it up to the intercooler. So that's the plan for today, but first I've got to shift this intercooler to the right about 1.5 inches maybe. Okay, so took the intercooler off, marked up some new holes in the bracket, and I've drilled those holes, and I've also decided to give just a quick lick of black paint It's a bit windy though, so you can see there's a bit of dust and stuff settling on it, but it doesn't really matter. It's really just to make it a little bit more stealthy. Well, it's afternoon and the plan pretty much worked without a hitch. Don't know if you'll be able to see, but the M's lined up straight now with the car. So is the intercooler. It's all painted black, which looks great. And the plan over here to cut that pipe and put an extra joint in gave the extra movement, and it all hooked up nice and neatly. So at the moment I've just used an old coupler and some old screw clamps, but now that the proof of concept has worked, I will go ahead and buy a black silicone coupler and some more T-bar clamps like I've got for the rest of the intercooler piping setup. So that's it for the intercooler. In fact, that's it for all the parts that I'm going to be installing. I guess I will talk about the exhaust now. I might go to a different location so I can rev it without annoying my neighbours, and you'll be able to hear what the Resonator Delete sounds like. We're at the new location. I know at the end of the last clip I said I was going to go straight to a new location to rev, but I decided to wait a day, and then we went into lockdown, and then it's literally been 2 months since then. Anyway, we're in this new location. I might rev it and get Shahan to film and yeah, give you a bit of a sound of what it sounds like. What do you think of that, mate?
Huh?
So there it is. I don't know if it's going to sound that much different on camera. Hopefully it does. But that will take us to the end of this video. It's taken about 5 months to fully film all the different things in this video. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.